opposition, but more engagement with the democratic opposition. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we have always asked that parallel to maximum pressure, there should be a policy of maximum support. But how does it practically means? For instance, to give you just a couple of examples, one of the key issues for us is to make sure that Iranians stay connected to the outside world via internet access. The regime has always tried to do everything to restrict that or even minimize that. Because external pressure by means of sanction does weaken the system, but is it enough to do the job? We are trying to persuade the world that if you come to the support of the Iranian people via empowerment, if you give them more means so they can better organize themselves, communicate, have financial means to support strikes or what have you, that is what is going to ultimately cause the regime's demise. The only acceleration is how quickly this can be done.
But how does it practically mean? For instance, give me just a couple of examples.
First of all, you don't have to necessarily like the messenger, but rather believe in the message itself. So some people don't like you, some people like you. That's not even the issue. The issue is today see eye to eye that the common agenda that everybody benefits from, and the only process that could be the ultimate factor in determining what the majority decides is a constituent assembly. And everything we're doing right now in this stage of between now and until the regime collapses is the phase of fighting for liberty. That's where everybody has to be united for that cause. So differences of opinion pale in comparison to the importance of this unity that I think everybody understands. No, there's a clear line of demarcation. And we all have to be a student of history and criticize when criticism is due and look at every aspect of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, that's the only way we can progress in the future. And I've been very clear on that. There were areas that mistakes were made. There were areas that things should not have happened. And the whole point is to learn by experience to make sure that such events doesn't occur in the future. How do you inoculate society with the proper institutions to be safeguarding? How do you inoculate society with the proper institutions to be safeguarding? At the very end, you have to also have a new culture, political culture, of tolerance, of diversity, of respect, and understanding that we could be adversaries, but that doesn't mean we are enemies. That's very important. In the Middle Eastern culture, if you don't disagree with me, you're my enemy. No, we can disagree. But that doesn't mean that we have to be enemies. That culture by itself needs to be instilled. And as you know, it's well beyond writing a text on a constitution. It's a behavioral issue. So society has to absorb it, accept it, understanding, and adopt it. That's also part of our process.
Opportunities to discuss these matters with legislators and policymakers.
That's hard to understand if the pretense is we want to be democratic and yet we are forbidden to have a free dialogue with others. Frankly, in our viewpoint, anybody who subscribes to the principle and the rules of the game should be able to have a voice. So I think they eliminate themselves based on that initial position of being part of this dialogue, and they insist on being exclusively the only representation of the opposition, which is not the case.
Which is the election of the First Assembly, and by then the political parties will organize elections that everybody benefits from. And the only process that will be the ultimate factor